With 4 2026 Tesla Model Y variants, there's ample opportunity to buy the wrong trim, and you shouldn't overpay for your practical needs and wants, right? You may personally be stuck between buying the range-busting Tesla Model Y long-range rear-wheel drive or the Model Y standard variant. Heck, even the Model Y Performance, which raises the rightful question of what each step up in price gets you, and ultimately, is that going to be worth it for you? Now, some of you may recall that I have previously produced some of the most useful and relatable Tesla Model 3 and Model Y comparisons on YouTube, as highlighted by, well, some of you before. So whilst I am partially biased on that claim, I generally believe that my Tesla trim comparisons are like no other videos on the internet, and that's because I tried to keep it simple and straightforward, and I directly tackled this very question from different angles, and I do try to stay away from the boring spec sheets, noting that I do have to refer to it at times. But most importantly, I bring this damn Tesla Model Y comparison to life by helping you identify each trim and how useful that's going to be in your own unique circumstances and in practical terms too. Therefore, this video is produced that by the end of this 10 to 12 minute-ish video, you'll know exactly what those differences are, what type of bias suits which Tesla Model Y trim and why, and perhaps the most interesting point, helping you decide if that jump up in price is going to be money well spent for your circumstances. So whether you're new to Tesla EVs or you're already a Tesla owner looking to upgrade to the new refreshed Tesla Model Y, this video should help you address which one of these 2026 Tesla Model Ys you should buy and why. Hopefully I've set the scene for the remainder of the video, but before I kickstart the video, I'd appreciate it if you could just drop the video a cheeky like, subscribe, and do hype the video if you can. It really does help me out. Right, thank you lovely lot for doing so. Let's get straight into it. Well folks, I hope you're hungry for info because I'm starting with the main course. Potentially the biggest and most important difference that you'll see between the different trims through day-to-day practicalities is going to be the range and the max charging speed differences. Within the US, UK and Europe to follow once the lineup changes, the brand new base standard rear-wheel drive Tesla Model Y now has a healthy 321 miles EPA as the entry point. The long range all-wheel drive gets the second highest range with 327 miles EPA, making the long range rear-wheel drive most suited for where every mile counts at 357 miles. And if outright performance is going to be your thing, the Model Y Performance offers 306 miles EPA, which is still impressive considering you know that the Model Y Performance is for, well, those spirited drivers, but we'll circle back to that in just a moment. Now, if you're thinking, Adam, I thought you said that we're not going to be just comparing specs, and if you are saying that, well, you wasn't wrong, I did say that, but here's the Adam difference. Practically speaking, would you pick one trim over the other vehicle just on range alone, and why? There's quite a few differences in why you may pick one trim over the other, and we'll definitely get onto each and every one in just a second, but I can't stress enough that the lion's share of your decision for this is going to be most likely focused on range. If I'm being brutally honest, most consumers will actually be suited to the range of the base Model Y. At 321 miles as the baseline, this trumps the average US daily commuter driving of just over 30 miles a day. Heck, you'd get that back in around an hour's worth of charging at home and you'd be back at 100%. Yes, in literally about an hour at slow charging speeds. So day to day, 321 miles is quite the allocation of mileage to get through before you're going to need to charge or supercharge. And typically speaking, you can go days without plugging in, even if you are doing long distance. And if you have charging at the end of your destination, you may not even need to supercharge at all. 321 miles is the equivalent of driving over 5 hours consistently, doing an average of 60 miles an hour. So going cheap with the standard rear-wheel drive is not going to be a mistake for range. I'll get to the supercharging speed differences in just a second because there is a difference that you do need to know about, but there's also a sneaky silver lining in the weakness of that trim. But before I touch on that, if range is a non-negotiable, it has to be the long-range rear-wheel drive. Without a doubt, with an extra 36 miles, that could make the difference. Though it does come at a $5,000 premium, but you'll get more than range for that jump in price. The all-wheel drive long range used to be a solid middle ground option for range and solid traction, but with the base model now offering just 6 miles less range, if you do want traction and speed, particularly for those difficult wintry conditions, the all-wheel drive long range then comes into play. And to be honest, the range trade-off isn't huge, but if you do witness wintry conditions wherever you live, you know that the premium for greater grip is more of a must in your local area. Therefore, there's literally no point in buying a trim for extra range, say the maxed out long range rear wheel drive Model Y, if you never do the range or you're never going to test the limits. Well, you're going to test it very rarely. My case, for range at least, just start at the standard, test the Model Y. Unless you know you need traction, then it's the all-wheel drive. Or if more range is needed, hit up the long range rear wheel drive. Critically speaking, what I think is more of an issue, or almost as equally as important as range in this decision-making process, is going to be charging speed. And the added features by going premium over the base model, well, there's a big justification by going premium over the base. So I personally test the range limits in my Tesla Model Y less times than I have fingers. And to clarify before you comment on it, yes, I do have 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. Not catching me out there, folks. So for me, charging speed is a worthy metric that we now need to discuss, as on range alone, spending circa 5,000 extra on a long range rear wheel drive would have very little benefit to me, well, just down to range alone. The premium features, yes. Just range, no. Charging speed, well, maybe. As someone that doesn't test the range limits, to me, it is more than reasonable to spend an extra 5 minutes charging for the difference. I need to get to my destination. And in my practical mind, worst case, I'm going to spend an extra 5 minutes over 10 times a year. That's going to be 50 minutes extra worth of charging across the year. And for me, that's not worth $5,000. Even if it was double that at 1 hour 40 minutes across the year, I'd personally still rather save the money. And that's going to be personal preference though. The major charging speed advantages moving away from the base Model Y to the long range rear wheel drive and the long range all wheel drive, that's going to go from 225 kilowatts in the standard rear wheel drive to 250 kilowatts. Therefore, if you do need to do longer charging stops frequently for whatever reason, the quicker charging speeds combined with a greater range will 100% be worth it for you, as you could save yourself extra charging stops. But more importantly, each charging stop will equally be quicker, and that time saved does rack up over the course of the year, for which with kids, this can be a lifesaver, especially those with impatient kids too. Those parents out there will know if their kids match that description. The performance also does hit that 250 kilowatts peak speed. So if you're frequently on the road and value minimal downtime, it's going to align there too. Beyond what I think are the most important and determining factors in range and charging speed, there is one more performance-based spec where differences can matter. This doesn't include the feature differences between the standard and premium trims. That performance difference is acceleration, and that may ultimately matter to you. So let's get into that. If you have a need for speed, but without a performance variant that targets out and out speed, the long range all-wheel drive is going to be a neat fit, as it has a 0 to 60 speed of 4.6 seconds, and you can decrease the 0 to 60 time with an over-the-air acceleration boost too. And this optional extra is not available on the rear wheel drive variants, getting 0 to 60 times of 6.8 seconds for the standard and 5.4 for the long range rear wheel drive. Hardly a blink in it between those two. Ultimately, the extra motor and traction is likely to be a key driver of upgrading to the long range all-wheel drive. Plus, if outright performance is your thing, performance trim blasts 0 to 60 in just 3.3 seconds, making it the choice for thrill seekers without compromising too much on practicality. It also gets a high top speed of 155 miles per hour compared to 125 miles per hour on the other models, along with performance brakes, lowered suspension, electronic continuously variable shock absorbers, plus the more aggressive front and rear end looks. Moving on to the standard and premium differences, aka the base Model Y versus the long range trims and beyond. This is mainly where the price difference can be justified on the features, in no particular order of significance, because some people do prioritize other different features over others. The base Model Y has less speakers and no subwoofer, meaning it does not have the full premium Tesla audio, and having owned both the partial and premium audio Teslas before, the difference is certainly going to be noticeable, but partially premium is pretty good for the everyday Joe. Now, if you are an audiophile and sound really matters, there is no other option other than the long range or performance models that will effectively tick that box for you. To expand on that, the immersive audio will not be bad by any means, but just the lack of subwoofer means it's going to sadly lack that depth in the audio experience that you're used to. Beyond audio, the road noise isolation is actually slightly better in the premium models thanks to acoustic glass all around and extra premium materials around the vehicle too. Now, these premium differences go from the frunk insert under the bonnet to the seats, to the door trims, to the charging pad. You'll see electronically operated seat controls for the front and rears, as well as the cooling ventilated seats back on the table for the premium models. Now, whilst the base spec does offer a solid base of features, the premium difference is going to be quite the jump. When it comes to optional extras, if you opt for a base spec, you will find that you'll come across some restrictions between the trims. For example, the base spec of the Model Y comes in stealth grey, pearlescent white and diamond black only. If you want more colour options, you're going to have to opt for a premium model. Want a white interior? Again, you're going to have to opt for a premium model. Want 19 or 20 inch wheels? Well, you can opt for the 19s on the standard Model Y, but that comes at a cost. Whereas they come as standard on the Model Y long range models. If you're wondering if the warranty differs between the trims, then yes, all the 2026 Tesla Model Ys come with 4 years or 50,000 miles general warranty, whichever comes first. But the difference is the battery warranty motor, in which the standard rear-wheel drive is at 8 years or 100,000 miles, whichever comes first again. But the long range and performance variants, they're going to get 120,000 miles rather than that 100,000 of miles with the standard rear-wheel drive. So again, the extra warranty coverage could well be worth it, especially if you are leaning more on the mileage than the everyday driver. Otherwise, there's just one more thing that I need to share before we answer the all-important question of which Model Y is suited to who and why. That one thing is that across all the Model Ys, they all have the same FSD hardware. It's all standard across the Model Y range, meaning the optional FSD is going to be available on all models, whereas autopilot is not a standard feature on the Model Y standard. So to conclude, which Tesla Model Y is better for you? The 2026 Tesla Model Y Standard, the Model Y Long Range Rear-Wheel Drive, the Model Y Long Range All-Wheel Drive, or the Model Y Performance? Well, I can't make the ultimate decision for you. I've highlighted the core differences and for why, but you do need to point and decipher which of the points I've raised today and establish which one of these are going to be the most important for you. Even do it the other way around if it helps, and just discount the spec differences that aren't important to you and determine what model is going to suit you more. Generally speaking, value for money, the 2026 standard Tesla Model Y is absolutely right on the money for value. And I think it will be by far the most popular variant as a solid all-rounder. The long-range rear-wheel drive will be a favourite too for its price as a business customer car of choice that's going to maximise your range options as well as better charging speeds than the standard rear Model Y, with all the premium features that you also desire too. The long-range all-wheel drive being the best balanced version of the Tesla Model Y available at present, with emphasis on traction and acceleration, but with a price tag that matches the extra gain there. And the performance, well, it's obvious, isn't it? That's for those that want supercar-like acceleration in an SUV package, though it trades a bit of range for that punch. But overall, I really like the standard Model Y as it's such a good spec as standard. You could get yourself some optional paint upgrades and maybe a few decent accessories for the price difference. If you're interested in some Tesla accessories that I got for my Tesla Model Y from one of the leading third-party accessory providers, take a look at the links in the video description. I do have a cheeky discount code that you can use too. So did today's video help you at all? What are you leaning to, and what is the best Model Y trim now, do you think? Is it worth upgrading to the long range rear wheel drive or even the all-wheel drive long range, or going all out for the performance? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe and share the video with your friends and family if you haven't already done so. Also do take a look at the video description for some cheeky discounts and my Tesla referral code. You folks have been great, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.